Hello, welcome to the Inside the Birds post-game show. I'm Geoff Mosher, and I'm alongside Adam Caplan. And wow, I guess the expression is, Adam, if you play with fire too many times, you will get burned. And that's exactly what happens to the Philadelphia Eagles, who once again, the Jekyll and Hyde offense and even defense this time, they're up by 14 points in the second half. They lose as the Broncos come alive in the second half. The Eagles lose 21-17, their first loss of the year. And Adam, I think any realistic, objective, common sense Eagles fan is watching this game and saying, this is what this is what happens when you can't play a full four quarters for several weeks in a row. And it's pretty much been like that since the season opener.
Yeah, they haven't played a complete game yet. Even Braden Mann, who appeared to tweak something in the first half, he had some punts that I'm sure he'd like to have back in the second half after a couple Thunder Boomers in the first half.
Great point.
But overall, it was really one of these situations where you love the aggressiveness in the first half. They came out throwing, and they made a number of plays. Now, I like how they got out of Hurts's hands quickly into the pass target. RPOs were back in this game. I stopped counting, but it seemed like they had 24 of them. That a lot of RPO plays, and the pop pass, which is the old Chip Kelly play, just get out of the quarterback's hands quickly. They did a lot of that, and it got what it does is it gets the quarterback comfortable and accurate, and they did that. Then, as you said, something happened in the second half. They were aggressive. I like how they came out throwing, but there's some execution plays. The pass protection became a problem with Dickerson out. Once again, he's hurt. This time a left ankle injury. He got friendly fire. Mailata ran into the back of his left leg. So we'll see what that looks like on a short week. That's not good. Brett Toth replaced him. And their offense sputtered. I know people are going to say, where's the run game? Totally get it. I haven't wrote it down. I'm Mr. Throw the Football. In my notes here, where are the Barkley runs in the third quarter? You can mix in a run every now and then. Jeez, it was that.
I know. That's what you're saying. I was almost afraid to bring this up because we don't want to sound like hypocrites. We said you need to stay aggressive. We said you need to pass, but we said pass the ball to set up the run later. Saquon Barkley got his third or fourth run in the first quarter and then didn't see a run again until late in the third. While they were passing the ball well, to your point, that's when you start to try to incorporate the run a little bit. We don't want to sound like hypocrites. We wanted them to be aggressive. We wanted them to pass the ball. They did that, but you don't then go to the extreme, the other side either, right?
No, you know what's so funny about this game? I'm someone, just from talking to coaches over the years, some will tell you, what, there are trap games, but sometimes it's not like you think. So for this game, okay, it's a non-conference. The first series, they came out throwing, didn't complete a pass. It was whatever. We will have to find out from Greg Cosell if any guys were open. But then, second series on, they moved the football. Looked good. Looked very good. They got out of Hurts's hands quickly. He was accurate. He was just it makes you off RPOs to the pop pass. It just gets him into a rhythm. Okay, it worked. Then he had the somewhat of a wheel route for the touchdown to Barkley. Good play. And I'm like, all right, I was wrong. No flat. I had the Eagles winning 2017. It still went under the total, but it was not a flat game like you would think. In fact, I don't know if you would call it flat because they got out of their own way. They're up 17-3. Run defense was fantastic the first half. So I'm like, wow, they're going to probably roll in the Broncos. Broncos don't have it. And then the Broncos hung in there. And when they made it 17-10, I'm like, let's just see what happens. They only scored a touchdown. Don't get too comfortable with Denver right now. I'm surprised that they lost. I still would have picked the Eagles to finish, but they did.
Yeah, I was kicked. I thought I was going to look like the village idiot. I actually predicted the Broncos to win 26-16. And if, they don't botch their final drive there and have the penalty, then maybe they score a touchdown and it's 26-17. But I'm close. I got torn apart for my pick, and by halftime, I said people were right. But then I said to myself, let's just see, because the Eagles have not played a full four quarters. They did not play well in the second half. Oh, by the way, we're killing the offense and the out of rhythmness that you've seen, but the defense didn't have enough stops. I thought Bo Nix was 14 of 18 in the second half. He scrambled. I thought he made some nice throws, but in general, Vic's defenses have been pretty tight and good. But in the second half, he didn't blitz as much this game for whatever reason. I think that came back to haunt them a little bit, especially in the second half. The Broncos were able to convert some third downs. I felt nervous for the Eagles when Dobbins scored that touchdown, like you said, and it was 17-10. And if just trying to go through it quickly at the end of the game, Adam, when you go through the possessions, you always say, and I agree with you, if you just look at like the possession chart and how things go and the flow, it tells a story. And it seemed to me that the Eagles passed the ball well on 1st and 10 with the RPO and the quick game when the Broncos didn't know if they're run or pass. And obviously the way the Broncos play defense so aggressively, they give you those one-on-ones because they blitz so much. But anytime the Eagles didn't get a good positive first down play and they were stuck in like 2nd and 6 or 2nd and longer, and the Broncos knew they were going to pass, they had the answers. And they did a great job, as we said in the pregame show. They know how to rush the passer without getting north of a mobile quarterback. They do a great job of getting that semicircle around the quarterback, but keeping him in the pocket. And you saw that. Hurts took 6 sacks. I mean, he ran himself into a few trying to get out of the pocket, but then he got 3 or 4, just nowhere to go. It seemed to me that the Eagles really struggled to pass the ball at times where the Broncos knew they were going to pass the ball and only really move the ball well on those first downs and certain times where they could play that 50-50 game with the RPO or the pop pass. You can't live life that way. You got to be able to convert on 2nd and 3rd, even if you're behind the sticks a little bit.
Yeah, they were seems to be that they were successful in early down. So as we stay in the offense before we get to defense. By the way, Calcaterra had the oblique injury. That's why you saw Kylan Granson play as the second tight end. They got Goddard the ball there. I know he clearly got held late. See, this is what bothers me about the NFL. They're so inconsistent about what they'll let go and what they won't. The Broncos had a number of holds that were not called. Quinyon Mitchell got called for one. Clearly did. There were some situations where I'm like, wow, they're letting the physical play go. That's fine, but why don't they do this every game? Like you can't decide as referees what's a hold and what's not a hold. So I thought that was a little bit of a problem. But yeah, Goddard is another guy because you saw with Devontae Smith, they went to him and the 3rd and 17, the bomb was a beautiful pass by Hurts. It was a big time NFL throw. Protection by was phenomenal, and he delivered great job by Smith tracking it. It just was perfect. They got Brown, by the way, on some slants. Good to see. We asked for that. I guess you can't have everything, right?
Right.
But the passing game in the second half, they started to pick up on it. You talked about the quick game. They started to smother it a little bit. And then the intermediate game was out, and they were kind of sputtering a little bit. And then Denver would get the ball back, and they started moving it. And we'll get to the defense in a minute here. But and Dotson, by the way, had that big catch. The 24-yarder, which was good to see. Also, special teams. Dotson, although he did have the one really nice return, he pretty much he had the 15-yard punt return. He pretty much fair catches everything.
Yeah, I know. And you have Xavier Gipson. I wrote this on the Philly Voice website for my observations. It was my last one. Why do you have Xavier Gipson here, who's had a very good career as a punt returner? I know he's put some on the ground, but he's been with the team for long enough now where he's not going to. I thought Jahan Dotson really hurt them with 2, maybe even 3 fair catches inside the own 10. The one right before half was such a line drive trajectory that I didn't see how any possible way that ball couldn't have gone into the end zone and then even bounce out of the end zone. And he caught it on a line drive inside the 5, or inside the 10. I thought that was bad decision making, and Eagles did not have good field position for that reason on a lot of them. I do want to ask you about 3 particular plays, and 2 of them involve officiating. And we never blame officials, and I do not blame officials.
We don't bring it up
this loss at all.
Yeah.
But I thought in this game there were so many weird calls, and I wanted to get your opinion on some of them. Okay, so let's go with the no call on pass interference on Goddard inside the 5, but right before the Hail Mary. He was
clearly a penalty.
That was clearly a penalty. Okay,
I know the rule, but you can't restrict by holding any part of the field. It's a hold,
right?
That's he held his arm. That was the ball was clearly a penalty. That's clearly a late hit. That's not even debatable. That was clearly a late hit on Bond. I said it when it happened. Like that's a late hit. Oh boy,
I wanted to ask you about that because
late hit.
From my vantage point, which at the stadium, where I am now, we're recording this. It looked to me like, was it Harvey who had the ball? It was a short
Yeah, and Gene
throw in the
Steratore
cat.
agree with me, by the way. The
Okay.
referee, yeah, that was late. It was clearly late.
I didn't get a full view of it. That's why I'm asking you,
I
because I
did,
thought
yeah. He
was he
clearly
trying to
late.
fight for more yardage?
Totally unnecessary. He wasn't. He was not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was
I'm just
he was
asking.
down, and after Bond hit him late, then he tried to get up, but maybe because he probably thought I mean, maybe
Right.
Harvey thought something else, but it was clearly late. It was just unnecessary. They had him down. Like that's
Right.
our
Right.
job here, folks, is to not take sides. Although we're Eagles related show, obviously, we go by what we know by rules. But the referees, look, let's put it this way with the referees. The worst refereeing in all sports is balls and strikes in baseball. If you watch baseball enough, it's terrible. This is the worst I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yes.
And that's why you talk about robot arms. But I just wish the physical play was consistent from game to game. If you're going to let physical play happen, let it happen. If you're not, then call it to by the book. There's a lot of hand fighting, so to speak, and they let it go. And then sometimes they don't. They call it a whole. It's just inconsistent.
Hey, fall is planting season. Did you know that many plants and trees actually do better when planted this time of the year? But you got to know where to start. And that's why I love fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter if you live in the sunny South or if the air's getting a little chilly where you are, the plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They've got everything your yard needs: fruit trees, privacy trees, shrubs, flowering trees, so much more. And Fast Growing Trees makes it so easy for you to have your dream yard because you can order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door. If you're like me, you're tired of spending way too much money on landscaping. And if you walk into one of those nurseries and you look at all the stuff they have, you have no idea where to begin. That's why you need fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter about the size of your yard. They got over 6,000 plants to fit any space, and a 14-point quality checklist ensures you will get the best quality plants possible. This fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code BIRDS at checkout. 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code BIRDS at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use BIRDS to save today. The offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you know you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up. Yes, and I would say this is not on the officials, but it was an accurate call. But what really hurt the Eagles, because they had a chance there, even after they're falling behind, was the beautiful 4th and 4 connection between Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith on the left side, negated by the illegal shifter motion by Barkley. I don't know. Like, you put so much into a game and trying to win. I don't know how they can watch that on film the next day and not want to vomit, because there's a good chance if that's I know there's a good chance they score there.
Yeah, Barkley had to be set. That was a beautiful play. You're absolutely right. Barkley knows the rule. You got to be set before the snap, which I absolutely hate. They should just say you have to simulate being stopped or something, because it's ridiculous. But it's by the rule of the penalty. It's a damn shame. Self-inflicted wounds. Mm-hmm. Brett Toth had a hold on a nice play, which is unfortunate. He replaced Dickerson, by the way. It was a weird game. They're going to look back and say, how the hell did we lose this game up 17-3? A lot of, see, this is the thing that I know fans are going to be pissed they lost for the first, the only second time in 22 games they'd won 20 out of 21. First time in 11 games they lost at home. But they'll be upset that it's one thing if it was like 27-24, went back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. But they blew it 17-3 lead, head into the fourth quarter. Yes, Denver was driving early in the fourth, and they did score. But there's a lot of good, by the way. There's a lot of good. Oh, by the way, and let's get to defense in a second. We had a sighting of somebody for the first time this season.
We did, but to finish it up on offense, I just wonder about the sustainability of what they were able to do early against Denver, using that pop pass, using the RPOs, getting the quick game, because Denver plays a style of defense where they attack you with so many guys that it sets up for that, right? It's quick, it's one-on-ones, they give you got it. Like the Giants aren't going to blitz 7 or 8 guys. The Vikings will in 2 weeks. They're like that. Brian Flores will come at them. It's just like Bowles did and eventually had to stop. But this offense really, I'd like to say it found something, at least, even in a loss by the first half. But I don't know. Like, you can't live on that kind of offense alone. You've got to find some more consistency. But maybe just getting the ball to Devontae deep and getting the ball to Goddard and getting the ball to A.J. Brown, even in this function of an offense, just gets them going a little bit more going into this Giants game on Thursday night.
Yeah, and look, Barkley had the 17-yard run, which was really nice. And I'm like, all right, great. They put a good run on the board, and then they kind of went away from them. It was interesting, but it's hard to argue because their passing game was efficient. Hurts was really efficient. They got out of his hands quickly. But then the loss of Dickerson showed up, self-inflicted wounds in the passing game in the second half. And that let Denver get in. And then the defense, which is really, really good for 2.5 quarters, they seem to be winded to me a little bit. They seem to get tired. And you mentioned Bo Nix. As we transition, we'll get deep in a minute to the breadth of the defense. But Bo Nix is a pretty athletic guy, man. Eagles defense is terrific the first half against him, but then he was effective on the move.
Yeah, all right, let's get to defense in a second. First, we're going to stop and hear a word from our great sponsors.
Hey, you know that one guy in the group chat who hit a 5-leg parlay week 1 and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Sounds like Caplan, right? Yeah, it could be him. It could be you, and we would all want to be you. MyBookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action, whether it's college ball, NFL, super contest, and survivor pools, all the spreads, player props, and in-game lines that you could want all under one roof. What more could you want than that? If you're new to MyBookie, use our code, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, the birds. Use the code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. There is no better time to jump in right now. No better place to play. Football is back. Let's make some money with MyBookie.
Sports are all about competition. Every snap, every possession, every clutch moment matters. That same energy is what 1v1 Me brings to video games. Every single day, you can watch and stake on matchups in Madden, NBA 2K, FC, and Call of Duty Search and Destroy. All the games are streamed live. Every match has refs, and payouts are instant. And these aren't just random online lobbies. These are the best players in the scene, pros, streamers, and rivals. With season playoffs and the championship game on the line, every game matters. Over $100 million has already been paid out on the app, and the community is growing fast. If you're a sports fan, a gamer, or just someone who loves having a little extra on the line, 1v1 Me is where you need to be. It's not just about winning, it's about the bragging rights too. Every match has a chat going crazy, and you can back your picks in real time. Download today and use code BIRDS. Your first stake on the app is risk-free. That's code BIRDS for a risk-free first stake. All right, as we talk about the Eagles defense, Adam, people are going to label it the second half implosion, which is true, but the Broncos punted on 4 straight possessions to end in the second quarter, and then on their first 2 possessions of the third quarter. So the Eagles really did a nice job for 6 straight possessions. It wasn't really until the fourth quarter that the Broncos got going there. And I looked at the chart, I looked at the plays, I tried to find what I thought was the swing play or the moment where things really started to click for them. And I just go through and I'm like, well, they had like a nice RJ Harvey pickup here. They finally got the ball to Cortland Sutton there. There were a few times where it was a second reaction play made by Knicks. I don't think there was a backbreaker, so to speak. There were a couple of big third down conversions, but I don't know if this makes Vic go back to the drawing board or say like tip the cap to the Broncos for just converting.
Well, on your point about them converting, they started to go after Ringo a little bit because where he did a good job the first half, he on one play they went after him the first quarter because this is what clearly they know that he had trouble stopping. That's one of the problems with him with his stiffness. They went after it. Then I was like, wow, he's holding his own. Okay, one play he clearly made contact. They didn't call it. He held his own. Okay. Then they started going after him. Quinyon gave up a play. Quinyon held clearly in the end zone. That was a clear hold. You can't do that.
Correct.
So, yeah, they started to really go after him. Cortland Sutton's physicality took over. It's sooner or later you figured he'd be a factor because they were so good in the first half. Eagles are really good defense, by the way.
Yes.
You're never going to be, folks. It's hard to be perfect every week. It's just hard. But they're young, which you like, and they show their youth a little bit in the second half.
Oh yeah, just you give up 21 points on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 possessions. That a lot of coaches will look at that like point per possession, and that's not especially impressive. I agree with you on the holding on Quinyon Mitchell. I do feel like that holding was made possible by the Eagles not getting a good enough pass rush there. Knicks climbed back in the pocket. He rolled to his right a little bit. He looked around. He probably saw I'm sure Quinyon noticed that he had no shot unless he reached his hand out there. But that, to me, was one of the few times where I thought the Eagles weren't able to clamp down and at least force Knicks into a difficult throw.
Yeah, and by the way, so Zadarius Smith got his sack. I'm looking at my notes here on a stunt. He was the looper. Really nice play. Also, Bond got one. They only had 2 sacks. But we saw it, and he had one really quality rush. Ojulari had one beautiful rush in the first half. So he, and then what's interesting is that Byron Young, we have to see what the snap counts look like. He was subbing in for Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis didn't seem like he played his usual amount of snaps, but we'll see what the snap counts look like. So, yeah, overall, there's no way to know this. It's the players probably wouldn't admit it anyway. They could have gotten a little tired in the second half. Just that Bo Nix, man, they completely shut him down the first half.
Yep.
Then he started making some plays. So the touchdown pass to Ingram was nice.
Yeah.
And overall here, it was one of those games. It was there for the win. It wasn't like they were beaten by being down early and having to come back and then losing. They had the lead 17-3 and blew it in the fourth quarter.
Yes. And by the way, the real, if you're looking for the one backbreaker, when it was a one possession game, the Broncos were at 3rd and 15. And they converted it. Remember the offensive pass interference? All right, that put them at 3rd and 15. They converted
it was a bad call. That was a bad call.
Yes, I agree with you on that as well. Knicks to Sutton for 34 yards on the right side. I think what happened was Mitchell slipped a little bit. He did get up, but Knicks put a really nice ball between 3 guys there, and then he kind of wiggled out of it and got more yards. So that really was the backbreaker because the very next play was the 11-yard touchdown to Ingram. And you know what? Sean Payton, you got to give him credit. He knew there was a lot of time left. He knew about the analytics. And, you could just say, well, it's easy. It's already determined. But not every coach will do it. But going for 2 there was a really bright move by him.
How about that move? Wow. Yeah, because it did a little bit early, but it worked out. So that was an interesting finish. It was one of these situations because you see Bo Nix he's kind of like Hurts. You got to really squash him because he's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of moxie to him. Right when you think you have him down, he comes back, and he did bring them back. But he did not play well in the first day. He rushed some throws. Eagles got to him a little bit. They got into his head a little bit.
Yeah, he was like Jalen Hurts. He's like Jalen Hurts. He just had a terrible half, and then all of a sudden he had a great half.
He seemed like you have him down. You have him down. It looks bad, and then he's got a mental toughness to him. And J.K. Dobbins, we didn't mention him, man. He's a start vision runner. They got him pretty good in the first half, and then he started to gash him a little bit. Harvey in the pass game, I got to give Tyler Beatty credit in pass protection. He did a really good job. He's their 3rd down back and hurry up back. You might remember as a draftee by the Ravens. He hit some pretty good blocks. Marvin Mims, they try to get him involved. Eagles did a good job on the downfield passing because they've got Franklin could run. Sutton's a possession. He's what he is he's a contested catch guy, Cortland Sutton. And I just thought, look, it's a shame they lost this game. There's nothing like defensively. Oh boy, they got other than we know their pass rush. It's got some issues. It's not going to go away.
Right.
And the second corner,
and their pass offense inconsistent.
We're right. We'll get that in a sec. But talk about defensively. Okay,
Yeah.
the pass rush is average. It's not terrible, but it's something that they're going to have to continue to look at towards the trade deadline at the end of this month. And the second corner, we'll see what Greg Cosell says when we do the tape show on Monday when we talk to Greg. But we'll see what he thought about Ringo. But we knew going in to the season it was a problem. And Vic Fangio said it, enough of Dory Jackson, who was healthy enough to play. He went with Ringo.
He did. That was a surprise, not a surprise move. Vic kind of foreshadowed it. Yeah. Only because, and Vic even foreshadowed it. He was asked in his last press conference, I think on Tuesday, if Adoree could go, is Ringo going to play? Is Ringo back? And he goes, not necessarily, or back to the bench. And he goes, not necessarily. So he was foreshadowing it. I don't feel like they have lost this game or imploded in other games because of the number 2 corner. It's not great, but it's not killing them. I think the inconsistent pass rush, to your point, is more of an issue. I don't think I think if you were to say of the 5 games they've played this year, this was Quinyon Mitchell's worst of the 5. I'm willing to give him a pass because he's played great in 4 of them, but he not only committed some penalties, but he got beat a couple of times by Sutton as well. In some key moments that's going to happen. Patrick Surtain got beat by AJ Brown on some one-on-ones. It's going to happen. But when you're playing a close game and it's one possession and you're going back and forth, they stand out a little bit more when you lose.
Yeah, and the Eagles had nine accepted penalties, and although what's funny is Denver had 12. Denver had
a weird game.
Yeah, it was. That's why I'm saying I'm not. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not really worried about this game. Getting to offense, you knew about the inconsistency. The running game has been poor the whole season. It's early, obviously. They've only played 5 games, but the passing game has been uneven. But the Eagles don't have a traditional pass game. You have to understand that. I know you're saying earlier, well, they have to. Okay, so they did this quick game, and it worked until Denver started figuring it out. Okay, but the traditional pass game was 2022, where it was traditional down. It was downfield passing game. Now it's what is it? They don't have an identity yet. It's evolving, but they're trying. Mm-hmm. Here's what I'll tell you though. At least they're trying. They're trying to help Hurts. That's better coaching. Mm-hmm. It's still work in progress. Let's call it what it is. It's still a major work in progress.
Let's finish it off with this. I'm very curious. I think it's almost good that the Eagles have a quick turnaround, just a couple of walkthroughs before Thursday night's game, because this is still probably frustrating for AJ Brown. He saw 8 targets, but only 5 catches for 40-something yards. He's not getting him the ball deep. There was that one opportunity where he and Jalen were not on the same page. It looked like AJ stopped his route. He said he didn't see Jalen was actually pump faking and throwing it to him, went over his head. That would have been that could have been an easy touchdown.
Yep.
But that just shows you that the rhythm between those two is not great. And I just wonder, we've talked about this a little bit, but this might be a little just one loss, but no more Kelsey, no more Fletcher Cox, no more Brandon Graham. You got young guys who are now leaders, who may be thrust into that position a little early. And it wasn't a great week for them internally because of the AJ Brown. And then all of a sudden you see media reports on, both the wide receivers are upset. They want the ball. No kidding. They've actually both come out publicly and said they want the ball. Right. But the regardless it's true. They want the ball and they want this pass offense to look better. And it didn't look great after, 2 quarters. So I wonder how this team, which has been a very good glue team throughout the last few years, you just wonder how they respond to a loss like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, they play a Giants team in the Meadowlands, or MetLife Stadium. A Giant team that was up at one point 14-3. They wound up getting outscored 23-0 in the second half. So, yeah, they're terrible. They're just a bad. Scatterbo had a bad fumble. Dart started turning the ball over. Remember, they don't have Malik Neighbors towards ACL. They're a train wreck. So this is a good team to get well against, and it's not like this is a good division. Dallas had a laugher against the Jets, who are terrible. They're not competitive.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're really bad. But bottom line is Eagles are still the class of the NFC East and one of the best teams in the National Football League. All's not lost.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a fan, you just wish they lost in a different way, and it's not the same thing that's kind of rearing its ugly head, this inability to play 4 quarters. But that's why with the Giants on deck, maybe it's a good chance to get everything together. We'll have that game covered. We're going to have a lot of content over the next few days as we have to, sandwich it all in before their next game, and then we'll have even more content after the Giants game Thursday night. So make sure you're all keeping it here on the Inside the Birds platform. Be an Inside the Birds Patreon member. You get extra content. You get ad-free. Every single podcast we do, ad-free, and usually posted the night before, if not earlier, because I know a lot of people have been talking about the ads. Well, this is ad-free on Patreon. If you're a tier 2 or a tier 3 member, patreon.com/Inside the Birds. And that will do it for the Inside the Birds post-game show. For Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. Catch you all on the next one.